Today, we're diving into something pretty big brewing in one of Singapore's, most sought after areas. Have you actually heard what's going to happen to Robertson Walk? It's creating quite a buzz, and it really sets the scene for this very intriguing new project we're looking at. We're going to explore its location, which is prime, spoiler alert, its unique features, what the pricing might look like, how it kind of stacks up against its competitors, and ultimately what all of this could mean for your own investment goals or just, your living experience. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. That transformation of Robertson Walk, it's not just talk, it's actually happening. And anyone who knows that area, this is a pretty big deal.
It absolutely is. For a long time, Robertson Walk was, you could say, the heart of Robertson Quay. It was the spot, wasn't it? Known for all the food and drinks, F&B places like Wine Connection. Those were institutions there. And while, sure, some people might miss the old vibe, I think the general feeling is that it was looking, maybe a little dated. Definitely ready for a refresh. Overdue, maybe. So this change, it isn't just about tearing down bricks and mortar. It's about breathing new energy into a really central spot. It's creating a fresh opportunity right in the city's core, literally right there for you. Imagine the kind of buzz the new Robertson Walk will have.
Okay, so if Robertson Walk is getting this major facelift, what does that mean for what's replacing it? Because right at the center of all this change, we're seeing the introduction of a project called the Robertson Opus. Talk about location, location, location. That means direct access to riverside dining, all those lifestyle spots, the whole city, really.
That sums it up perfectly. The Robertson Opus is a joint venture. It's Fraser Properties and Sekisui House behind this one. Yeah, and this isn't their first rodeo together. They've got a track record, I think Seaside Residences, that was quite successful, so the location itself, undeniably strong. It's a District 9 address, and for anyone maybe less familiar, D9, D10, D11, that's Singapore's prime central area, prestige, connectivity, the works. Getting around from Opus is, incredibly easy. It's just about a 5-minute walk to Fort Canning MRT station. And here's a nice touch, roughly 80% of that walk, it's actually sheltered. A big win in Singapore weather. And driving, you're looking at maybe 5 minutes to the CBD, the Central Business District, and also 5 minutes to Orchard Road, super central. For families thinking about schools, it's within 1 to 2 kilometers of really good ones, ACS Junior, River Valley Primary.
Top names there.
Exactly, and if you like green space, you're super close to Fort Canning Park and of course the Singapore River itself, so nature's right there too. Now, looking at the project size, it's 348 residential units. These are spread across 5 blocks, mostly 9 or 10 stories high. There's an interesting detail. One of the 9-story blocks actually has higher ceilings, 3.225 meters. Makes those units feel, extra spacious. The others are still good, 2.885 meters.
Okay, a bit of variety there.
Right, and for convenience, right downstairs, there'll be 26 shops, ground level and basement. So having everything so close, the food, the shops, transport parks, it really shapes the whole living experience. Makes life very convenient for you. Oh, and parking. They've allocated 80% parking lots, which is actually quite good. Many people in such prime spots might not even drive, but it's there.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. There's something that really makes Robertson Opus stand out, a big differentiator. We touched on leasehold. But what's the big deal about its tenure, especially being in District 9?
Ah, yes, you've landed on arguably the crucial point here. See, 999-year leasehold.
999, okay.
In Singapore, particularly for a new project in a prime spot like D9, that's basically as close to freehold as you can get. It's exceptionally rare. Finding a 999-year mixed-use development residential plus commercial in districts 9, 10, or 11, very, very difficult. Genuinely rare. Now, just for context, there are others nearby like UE Square that are also 999-year mixed use. But those are much older, and the vibes and quality could be very different.
I see. So Opus' strong selling point is the almost freehold tenure.
Exactly, and the appeal of that long tenure, it's huge for buyers. It gives this real sense of legacy. It means you can hold on to the property for a very, very long time. It sets it apart completely from the usual 99-year leasehold projects you see everywhere else in the area. For many buyers, this isn't just buying an apartment. It's potentially a multi-generational asset, something you can pass down. That long lease provides a kind of security, a peace of mind that's, hard to quantify.
Okay, so prime location, that extremely rare 999-year tenure, and it sounds like quite an exclusive kind of feel. It naturally follows that the price tag would be Well, on the high side, right? What else is driving that premium cost?
You're right to expect a premium, absolutely. The word on the street, industry talk, suggests prices around 3,200 to 3,500 per square foot. Some of the higher floor units might even nudge towards 3,600 PSF. And the indicative starting prices we've seen from the developer? Well, suites start around 1.37 million. One bedrooms from 1.58 million, two bedrooms from 2.17 million. The three-bedroom compact from 3.1 million. Then you have the three-bedroom premium from 3.68 million, and the four-bedroom starting at 5.09 million. So, yeah, some indicative figures.
I see. So what justifies that beyond the land and the lease?
Well, several things. The developers seem to have paid really meticulous attention to the details, the design, the finishing. They actually brought in well-known architects, Studio Malou and ADDP architects. That signals a focus on high-quality aesthetics.
Ah, okay, so not just the building architect.
Correct. And the overall design apparently gives a subtle nod to the original Robertson Walk, kind of blending history with the new. They've also created these different collections, Premier, Luxury, and Legacy, basically different tiers of materials and fittings. For example, the top Legacy units get things like imported Italian marble kitchens from Ernesto Meta, and even a smaller detail, but quite thoughtful. Every single unit across all tiers apparently comes with a premium ceiling fan included. It's a nice touch.
That level of detail definitely adds to the premium feel. But what about shared spaces, the facilities? Sometimes in these central projects, communal areas can feel a bit squeezed. How does Opus handle that?
That's a fair point. The design has this central open courtyard, which sounds lovely for the commercial area. Gives it a nice vibe. But yes, it probably means the dedicated residential communal space is a bit more, let's say, compact compared to sprawling suburban condos. However, residents can enjoy a rooftop sanctuary at the 240-meter sky forest, formed by 4 rooftop terraces. Connecting the residential towers via sky bridges, the sky forest features contemplative gardens, lounge decks, and expansive lawns for yoga, meditation, and community farming, encapsulating the vision of a home in nature.
Okay, that rooftop amenities definitely redefines green city living.
It is. And while maybe some might worry about noise, if any, from the plaza, if their unit faces inwards, you have to remember the bigger picture. Residents benefit hugely from everything around Robertson Quay. The dining, the cafes, the river walks, the entertainment. It's all right there. You're not just buying the condo facilities. You're buying into that whole vibrant neighborhood. It really extends your living space.
That makes sense, leveraging the whole area. But you mentioned Opus is launching into what sounds like a pretty busy market, lots of competition coming up. How are they planning to stand out? What's their strategy with all this new supply hitting the market?
Yes, that's a really critical aspect right now. We are definitely seeing an influx of supply coming to the Great World and River Valley areas soon. We're talking about projects like River Green, Promenade Peak by CDL, those Zion Road plots.
Right, quite a few names.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that many of these upcoming projects have really high plot ratios, like 5.6 for Promenade Peak, maybe even 6.3 for others. High plot ratio generally means very tall buildings, and taller buildings, especially the higher floors, usually command higher per square foot prices. These new launches will likely set new price benchmarks for the area. Remember, Canning Hill Piers launched 3 years back, averaged around $2,900 to mid and high 3,000s on the higher floors.
So the bar is going to be raised.
Almost certainly, and that competitive pressure means developers, including Fraser and Sekisui for Opus, have to be really smart, really strategic about their pricing to capture buyers.
Okay, so faced with rising benchmarks and more choices for buyers, how exactly are they playing the pricing game for Opus? Are they aiming high from the start or something else?
This is where it gets quite compelling, I think, especially for you as a potential buyer. What's really noteworthy is that Robertson Opus, even with that super desirable 999-year lease, seems to be pricing itself very competitively. Almost comparable, in fact, to newer 99-year leasehold resale projects nearby.
Oh, really? Comparable to 99-year resale?
Yes, take their 2-bedroom units, starting around $2.17 million. That stacks up well against, say, Canning Hill Piers resales, which average maybe $2.66 million for 2-bedders or Union Square residences, median around $2.23 million for their 99-year units, and the 3 bedrooms at Opus. They seem aligned with resale prices at places like Riviere or Avenir, which are often around the 3.4 million mark.
So despite the 999-year tenure, they're not pricing way above the recent 99-year stuff.
Exactly. And that creates what you could call a real value advantage for buyers, right? It means you might be entering the market at a price point that looks pretty attractive compared to what's already been sold or what's likely coming next door, especially given that long lease. Now let's quickly touch on the unit mix. Over half the units are 1 and 2 bedders. But, and this is important, that 999-year lease tends to attract owners who plan to hold for the long term. So you're less likely to see a sudden flood of resale units hitting the market later on, which can help support prices. The 2-bedroom layouts themselves seem quite well thought out. There's one, for instance, with that higher 3.225-meter ceiling plus natural ventilation in the kitchen and bathrooms.
Oh, windows in the bathroom. Nice.
Yeah, small things, but they make a big difference for comfortable living. Suggest they're targeting people who actually want to live there, not just pure investors.
That makes sense. Focusing on livability. So the long lease attracts longer-term holders, even for smaller units. What about the bigger ones, the 3 and 4 beds?
Good question, because that's another potential strength. For 3-bedroom units specifically, the resale supply in the whole River Valley area is actually incredibly tight. I've done some analysis for my clients on the competitive analysis within a certain radius of the location, and the findings are quite surprising.
Yes, a data-driven approach is indeed important.
Yeah, combine that low supply with the generally strong demand for larger family-sized units in District 9. Remember Avenir's 4-bedders sold out first, and you see significant potential for future resale value. The 3-bedroom premium layout in Opus looks particularly good, spacious, flexible, suits modern living. And the 4-bedroom units, extremely rare, only 9 in the whole project. They offer generous space, although you'd want to look closely at the balcony sizes on some layouts. Always a trade-off. Now, when we look at wider market data, sometimes what people call a demand indicator for these prime core central region, or CCR projects, can look a bit lower than, say, hot projects out in the city fringe RCR or suburbs OCR.
You ever see those charts sometimes?
Yeah, but you need to understand the context. A lot of those popular RCR or OCR projects are already sold out and their prices, they've been catching up fast to the central regions. So a broad demand score for Opus, which might pull data from a huge area, including older condos, doesn't automatically mean it's a weak investment. Far from it. The River Valley area itself keeps performing well, especially for those larger units where demand is strong and supply is genuinely limited. The type of buyer for Robertson Opus, especially looking at 2 beds and up, is often someone buying for their own stay. They value the convenience, the quality, the lifestyle. It's a different crowd than maybe those chasing the absolute lowest entry price. Let's say, a project like River Green nearby. That difference can actually be a positive for future resale. Now, on the flip side, if you are looking purely at a 1-bed or suite for rental yield, while River Valley has fewer 1-beds than maybe Marina Bay, some upcoming compact units in 99-year projects might offer slightly better pure rental rates.
So for the smaller units, it's maybe more about valuing the 999-year tenure and location for yourself?
Often, yes. It leans more towards long-term capital appreciation and own use rather than maximizing immediate rental income for those smaller units. And finally, don't forget the first mover advantage. Being the first new 999-year project launching in this wave, Opus could potentially benefit as subsequent, taller, possibly more expensive projects launch nearby and set those higher benchmarks we talked about. It could create a positive lift for Opus's value over time. So to wrap it all up, what's really fascinating here with Robertson Opus is this unique mix. You get the prime to 9 location, you get that incredibly rare 999-year lease, and you get these well-designed, livable layouts. Crucially, its pricing strategy seems quite smart, entering competitively against nearby resale and upcoming launches. This potentially creates real value compared to the neighbors. Makes it a very compelling option for you if you're prioritizing that long-term ownership, that legacy aspect, and want that vibrant, convenient lifestyle. right in Singapore's heart.
That definitely paints a compelling picture, and it raises a really important question for you, the listener. Given this unique blend, the legacy tenure, the strategic pricing, and seeing how the whole River Valley area is transforming, how might Robertson Opus actually redefine your perception of value and long-term potential when looking at prime properties in central Singapore? Check out our website, singaporepropertylens.com, to evaluate the blind spots for your next or even current home. Reach out to PK So for more insights, as he has been walking the ground in the prime districts since 2005. Thank you for tuning in, and remember to like and subscribe to our channel.